I was staring at my wife's laptop screen, feeling my entire world tilt sideways when I heard her car pull into the driveway. The notification had popped up 30 seconds ago while I was using her computer to print our daughter's permission slip. Just a preview of a text message synced from her phone. Last night was incredible. Can't stop thinking about you. When can we meet again? The sender's name was Tyler. My hands were shaking as I clicked on the message app, watching it load. 5 years of marriage, a 3-year-old daughter sleeping upstairs, a mortgage we just refinanced together last month. My name is David Patterson. I'm 32 years old, and until this exact moment, I thought I knew who my wife was. The messages loaded. Hundreds of them, going back 4 months. I scrolled through them rapidly, my heart hammering so hard I could feel it in my throat. The early ones were innocent enough. Comments about a work project, mentions of coffee breaks. Then, about 3 months ago, the tone shifted. Compliments, flirtation, then plans to meet. Hotel room is booked. Room 412. Can't wait to see you. You make me feel alive again, something I haven't felt in years. I know this is complicated, but I don't want to stop. My wife's responses were even worse. She wasn't being coerced or manipulated. She was an enthusiastic participant, planning these meetings, expressing the same excitement, the same desire to continue. The garage door was opening. I had maybe 60 seconds. I grabbed my phone and started taking pictures of the screen, my hands fumbling with the camera app. Photo after photo, capturing dates, times, explicit messages about their encounters. The most recent was from this afternoon, just 3 hours ago, while I'd been at my job as a project manager at a construction firm. Missing you already. Thursday can't come soon enough. Thursday. That was 2 days away. Another meeting already planned. The door from the garage to the kitchen opened. I heard her keys hit the counter, her heels clicking on the tile floor. David, you home? I closed the laptop carefully, my mind racing. Every instinct screamed at me to confront her right now, to demand answers, to show her what I'd found. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the methodical part of my brain that had made me successful in my career. The part that knew you didn't start a construction project without a complete plan. In the office, I called out, surprised at how normal my voice sounded. Melissa appeared in the doorway, still in her work clothes, a navy dress that I'd complimented her on this morning when she'd left for her job at the marketing agency downtown. She was 29, blonde, with the kind of smile that had made me fall in love with her 7 years ago when we'd met at a friend's barbecue. That smile was directed at me now, and it made me feel sick. Hey babe, she said, leaning against the doorframe. What are you doing on my laptop? Permission slip for Emma's field trip, I said, gesturing to the printer. Mine's updating and I needed to print it tonight. Hope that's okay. Of course, she said easily. Too easily. I'm going to change. Long day. She disappeared upstairs, and I sat there staring at the closed laptop. My phone was heavy in my pocket, loaded with evidence that would destroy our marriage. Part of me still couldn't believe it was real. This was Melissa, my wife, the mother of my daughter, the woman who'd cried happy tears when I proposed, who'd held my hand through my father's funeral, who'd looked at me with such love when Emma was born. Who was Tyler? I pulled out my phone and opened a new browser, keeping my search history in private mode. Tyler. Marketing agency. It took less than 5 minutes to find him on the company website. Tyler Brooks, Senior Creative Director. 35 years old according to his LinkedIn profile. Single, based on his Facebook relationship status, which I accessed through a fake account I created on the spot. He worked in the same building as Melissa, probably the same floor. I heard water running upstairs. Melissa was in the shower. I had time. Opening my email, I sent myself all the photos I'd taken, then uploaded them to a cloud storage account I created with a new email address. Backup after backup. I wasn't going to lose this evidence. My phone buzzed. A text from my brother Jake. Still on for basketball Thursday night? Thursday. The same day Melissa had plans to meet Tyler again. An idea formed, cold and clear. Yeah, definitely, I texted back. Wouldn't miss it. But I wasn't going to basketball on Thursday. I was going to see exactly what my wife was doing instead of being home with our daughter. The water shut off upstairs. I closed all the apps on my phone, deleted the browser history on Melissa's laptop, and picked up Emma's permission slip from the printer. My hands had stopped shaking. Something had shifted inside me in the last 10 minutes. The initial shock was crystallizing into something else. Something focused and deliberate. I walked into the kitchen and started preparing dinner like it was any other Tuesday evening. When Melissa came down in yoga pants and one of my old college sweatshirts, her hair wet and smelling like her lavender shampoo, I smiled at her. "How was your day?" I asked, pulling chicken from the refrigerator. "Oh, you know," she said, pouring herself a glass of wine. "Meetings, deadlines, the usual chaos." Tyler, one of the creative directors, is pushing for this complete rebrand of the Jameson account, and it's causing all kinds of drama. She said his name so casually, like he was just another coworker. "Sounds stressful," I said. "It is." She sipped her wine. "I might need to work late a few nights this week to sort it all out." The lie came so smoothly. I wondered how many times she'd practiced it. The next morning, I woke before my alarm, Melissa's breathing steady beside me. I'd barely slept, my mind churning through scenarios, contingencies, variables. Years of managing construction timelines had taught me that successful execution required meticulous planning. This would be no different. I went through my morning routine on autopilot: shower, coffee, toast. Melissa came downstairs in her robe, hair still damp, and kissed my cheek like she had 1,000 times before. "You're up early," she said, pouring herself coffee. "Big day. We're breaking ground on the Riverside project." "That's exciting." She smiled, and I wondered how many times she'd smiled at me while thinking about him. "What time will you be home?" "Usual time, 6, maybe 6:30. I checked my phone, scrolling through work emails I wasn't actually reading. "You?" "Should be normal, unless something comes up." "Something. Someone." I nodded, sipping my coffee, tasting nothing. She left first, calling goodbye from the garage. I waited until her car disappeared down the street before pulling out my phone and opening the tracking app I'd installed on her laptop last night. The little blue dot showed her heading downtown, toward her office. Toward him. At work, I functioned. Attended the groundbreaking ceremony, reviewed contractor bids, approved material orders. My team noticed nothing unusual. I'd always been good at compartmentalizing. It's what made me effective at managing multiple projects simultaneously. Now I was managing the controlled demolition of my marriage. During lunch, I sat in my truck and researched. Tyler Brooks had a robust social media presence, the kind of carefully curated personal brand marketing people cultivated. Photos of him at agency events, industry conferences, art gallery openings. Several showed him with coworkers, and I spotted Melissa in the background of 2 from recent months. Before I knew to look, they would have meant nothing. I created a fake profile. Basic, believable. Stock photo of a reasonably attractive guy, borrowed details from a former college roommate who'd moved to Seattle. It took 20 minutes to build a credible digital identity. Then I sent a friend request to Tyler's personal account. My phone buzzed around too. Text from Melissa. "Running to grab coffee with some of the team. Might be 10 mins late picking up Emma." I stared at the message, then checked the tracking app. Her laptop sat stationary at the office, which meant she'd left it there. Smart or paranoid? Either way, I couldn't verify where she actually was. I called my mother. "Hey, Mom, any chance you could grab Emma from daycare today? Melissa's running late and I'm stuck at the Riverside site. Of course, sweetheart. I'll get her by 4:30. Thanks. I'll pick her up from your place around 7. One variable controlled. I needed Melissa to have no reason to deviate from whatever she had planned for Thursday. That evening, I stopped at my mother's house. Emma ran to me, chattering about finger painting and playground time. I held her longer than usual, breathing in the scent of her strawberry shampoo and graham crackers. You okay? My mother asked, studying my face with that maternal radar that never quite shut off. Just tired. Big project launching. She didn't look convinced, but didn't push. Melissa feeling better? She looked stressed when I saw her last week. Work's been demanding. The lie came easily now. She's handling it. At home, Melissa had dinner started. Chicken in the oven, rice on the stove, playing house, playing wife. Your mom said she picked up Emma, she said, stirring the rice. Yeah, I got held up at the site. Thanks for starting dinner. Of course. She turned, spatula in hand. Hey, I meant to tell you. I might need to work late tomorrow night. We've got this campaign presentation Friday, and Tyler wants the creative team to do a full run-through. There it was. Thursday. Tyler. I kept my expression neutral. How late? Probably 8 or 9. I know it's annoying, but it's a big client. No problem. Jake wanted me to catch the game with him anyway. The lie assembled itself smoothly. I'll take Emma to Mom's for the evening. Relief flickered across her face, quick as a camera flash. Perfect. Thank you for understanding. Understanding. I understood perfectly. Wednesday crawled past. I confirmed my fake profile had been accepted by Tyler. He had over 800 friends, apparently not discriminating. I scrolled through his posts, his photos, learning his patterns. He favored a wine bar downtown, worked out at an upscale gym, attended a monthly poker game. I also called an attorney. Not to file anything, not yet, but to understand my options. Texas is a community property state, the lawyer explained. His name was Richard Stone, and he'd come recommended by a coworker who'd gone through a divorce 2 years ago. Anything acquired during the marriage gets split 50-50, with some exceptions. What about infidelity? Does that matter? It can, particularly regarding spousal support. If you can prove the affair, it might influence the division of property, though Texas courts don't punish cheating as harshly as some states. Your best leverage is documentation. I have documentation. Good. Keep gathering it. Dates, times, places, financial records showing any money spent on the affair, hotel rooms, gifts, meals. The more concrete evidence, the stronger your position. I thought about the messages. 4 months of evidence. What about custody? Texas presumes joint custody is in the child's best interest unless there's evidence of abuse or neglect. An affair doesn't typically impact custody, though it might influence the character assessment. How old is your daughter? 3. The court will prioritize stability. If you want primary custody, you'll need to demonstrate you're the more stable parent. That means maintaining your current involvement in her care, keeping your job, staying in the family home if possible. After the call, I sat in my truck in the construction company parking lot, watching workers load equipment. Everything could be quantified, managed, divided. Marriage reduced to assets and liabilities. Thursday morning arrived with crystalline clarity. Melissa seemed nervous, fidgeting with her coffee cup, checking her phone repeatedly. Big presentation today, she said. You'll do great. I kissed her forehead, felt her tense slightly. What time does it start? The run-through? 6:30. I'll drop Emma at Mom's around 6 then. Good luck. She smiled, grateful and guilty in equal measure. At work, I left early, claiming a dentist appointment. By 5:30, I dropped Emma with my mother, changed into jeans and a dark jacket, and positioned myself in a coffee shop across from Melissa's office building. I had a clear view of the parking garage entrance. At 6:15, Melissa emerged. She'd changed clothes, the conservative blouse and slacks from this morning, replaced by a fitted dress I'd never seen before. She walked quickly, heels clicking on pavement, and climbed into her car. I followed at a distance, 3 cars back, trying to remember every detective movie I'd ever seen. She didn't head to a hotel. Instead, she drove to a trendy neighborhood north of downtown, parking on a tree-lined street of renovated craftsman homes and modern townhouses. She walked to a brick townhouse, third from the corner, and knocked. Tyler Brooks answered. Even from half a block away, I recognized him from his photos. He pulled her inside, his hand on her lower back, familiar and possessive. I sat in my truck, hands gripping the steering wheel, watching the lit windows of his townhouse. Shadows moved behind curtains. I imagined what was happening inside and felt something cold and hard crystallize in my chest. This was real, not messages on a screen, but flesh and blood and betrayal. I took photos of her car, the townhouse, the address numbers clearly visible. I noted the time, 6:47 p.m. Then I waited. At 9:23, the door opened. Melissa emerged, hair slightly mussed, lipstick refreshed. Tyler stood in the doorway and they kissed. Long, comfortable, the kiss of people who'd done this before. She drove away. I didn't follow. Instead, I sat there, staring at Tyler's townhouse, at the warm light spilling from his windows, at the life he'd built that now included my wife. My phone buzzed. Melissa. Presentation went well. Heading home soon. Love you. I started my truck and drove to my mother's house to collect my daughter. I sat in my truck for another 20 minutes after Melissa texted me, watching the warm glow from Tyler's second-floor windows. The lights stayed on. She wasn't leaving anytime soon. My phone buzzed. Another message from her. Missing you and Emma. Can't wait to be home. The casual cruelty of it made my jaw clench. I started the engine and pulled away from the curb, checking my rearview mirror one last time. Tyler's townhouse receded into the darkness behind me. The drive home took 15 minutes. I used the time to organize my thoughts, forcing myself into the same methodical mindset I applied to construction projects. Identify the problem. Gather resources. Execute the plan. Emma was already asleep when I got home. The babysitter, a college student named Ashley from 2 streets over, looked up from her textbook when I walked in. She went down easy, Ashley said, collecting her things. We read 3 stories and she was out. I paid her in cash, added an extra 20, and locked the door behind her. The house felt different now. Every photo on the wall, every piece of furniture we'd picked out together, all of it contaminated by what I knew. I went upstairs and checked on Emma. She was sprawled across her toddler bed, one arm flung over her stuffed rabbit. Her nightlight cast soft shadows across her face. Whatever happened next, I needed to protect her from the worst of it. Back downstairs, I opened my laptop and reviewed the photos I'd taken. Clear shots of Melissa's car in Tyler's driveway. Timestamps showing she'd arrived at 7:43 p.m. The silhouettes in his window. Her text claiming the presentation went well, sent at 8:47 p.m. while she was still inside his townhouse. I uploaded everything to the secure cloud folder I'd created, the same one holding the screenshots of their messages. Then I opened a new document and started typing out a detailed timeline. Dates, times, locations. Every lie she'd told me, cross-referenced with the evidence I'd gathered. My phone buzzed at 10:15 p.m. On my way home. So tired. Today was exhausting. I didn't respond immediately. Let her wonder. Let her feel a fraction of the uncertainty she'd put me through. At 10:47 p.m., I heard her car pull into the driveway. The garage door opened. I was sitting in the living room, laptop closed, watching a basketball game on mute. She came through the door from the garage, her laptop bag over one shoulder, looking exactly like someone who'd spent the evening at work. Her makeup was still perfect, hair still styled. She'd probably touched it up in Tyler's bathroom before leaving. "Hey," she said, dropping her bag by the door. "Emma already asleep?" "Went down around 8, I said, keeping my eyes on the television. She kicked off her heels and padded into the living room in her stockings. "How was your evening?" "Fine, quiet." I glanced at her. "How was the presentation?" "Good. Really good, actually." She settled onto the couch beside me, curling her legs under her. "Tyler said the client loved our pitch. We should hear back by next week." "Tyler." She'd said his name so easily like it meant nothing, like she hadn't been in his bed an hour ago. "That's great," I said. "Must be a relief." "Huge relief." She leaned her head on my shoulder. "I'm exhausted. Think I'm going to shower and crash." I felt her warmth against me, smelled her perfume, the same perfume she'd worn for him. My hand tightened on the remote, but I kept my voice level. "Sure, I'll be up in a bit." She kissed my cheek and headed upstairs. I heard the bathroom door close, then the shower running. I opened my laptop again and pulled up the fake social media profile I'd created. Tyler had posted an Instagram story 2 hours ago, a photo of a wine glass and takeout containers with the caption, "Perfect Thursday night in." I screenshot it and added it to my evidence folder. The shower shut off upstairs. I closed the laptop and stared at the silent basketball game, players running back and forth in a conflict with clear rules and defined boundaries. Nothing like the game I was playing now. Melissa came downstairs 20 minutes later in pajamas, her hair damp. "You coming to bed?" "In a minute. Want to finish this game?" She hesitated, studying my face. For a moment I thought she saw something, some crack in my composure. But then she smiled. "Don't stay up too late." "I won't." I listened to her footsteps on the stairs, the bedroom door closing. Gave it another 15 minutes, then went up myself. She was already asleep, or pretending to be, curled on her side facing away from me. I lay there in the darkness, listening to her breathe, planning my next move. Friday morning arrived with Emma jumping on our bed at 6:30 a.m., her usual wake-up routine. Melissa groaned and pulled a pillow over her head. I got up and took Emma downstairs for breakfast. "Pancakes?" Emma asked hopefully, climbing into her booster seat. "Pancakes," I confirmed. I mixed the batter while Emma colored at the kitchen table, chattering about her upcoming field trip to the zoo. The permission slip I'd been printing when I discovered everything. That felt like weeks ago, not 2 days. Melissa came down at 7:15, already dressed for work. She poured coffee and scrolled through her phone while I flipped pancakes. "What time will you be home tonight?" I asked. "Normal time, around 6. She didn't look up from her screen. "Why?" "Just wondering. Thought maybe we could do something this weekend. The 3 of us." That got her attention. She glanced up, something uncertain in her expression. "Like what?" "I don't know. Zoo, maybe. Emma's been talking about it." "Zoo!" Emma shouted, syrup-covered fork raised triumphantly. Melissa smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Sure, that sounds nice." I plated Emma's pancakes and set them in front of her. "Great. It's a plan." Melissa left for work at 7:45. I took Emma to daycare at 8:30, then drove to my office at the construction firm. My project manager desk was covered with blueprints and permit applications, but I couldn't focus on any of it. Instead, I called Richard Stone, the divorce attorney. "David," he answered on the second ring. "How are you holding up?" "I followed her last night, got photos of her car at his place, timestamps of her arrival and departure, screenshots of her text to me while she was there." "Good. That's solid corroboration. How are you feeling about next steps? I stared at the blueprints on my desk, thinking about foundations and load-bearing walls. I want to confront her, but I need to know what happens after. We've already discussed the likely division of assets. With the evidence you've gathered, we can establish grounds for fault in a fault-based divorce, though Texas is a no-fault state, so it may not impact property division significantly. What it will impact is custody and potentially her credibility if she contests anything. I want primary custody of Emma. The affair evidence helps establish a pattern of deception and poor judgment. Combined with your documentation of being the primary caregiver, you mentioned you handle most of Emma's daycare drop-offs and pickups, and doctor's appointments, and bedtime routine most nights. Document all of that. Keep doing what you're doing. When you're ready to confront her, I'd recommend having her served with papers shortly after. Don't give her time to establish a counter-narrative or move assets. How soon could you have papers ready? I can have them drafted by Monday. You tell me when to file. I thanked him and hung up, then sat there staring at my phone. Monday. 3 days away. My phone buzzed with a text from Melissa. Lunch meeting ran long. Might be home a little late tonight. 6:30-ish. I typed back, no problem. See you then? But I opened the tracking app on my phone, the one linked to our family plan that showed device locations. Melissa's phone was at her office building downtown. For now. The weekend stretched ahead like a minefield I had to navigate while pretending everything was normal. Emma bounced into our bedroom Saturday morning at 7, her tiny feet thundering across the hardwood before she launched herself onto the bed between us. Pancakes, she announced, landing on Melissa's stomach. Melissa groaned, pulling Emma close. Good morning to you too, sweetie. I was already awake. Had been for hours, actually, lying there watching the ceiling fan rotate while my wife slept peacefully beside me. Amazing how someone could compartmentalize betrayal so completely that it didn't even disturb their sleep. I'll get started on breakfast, I said, scooping Emma up. Come on, Bug. Let's let Mommy wake up. In the kitchen, I mixed pancake batter while Emma sat at the counter, swinging her legs and chattering about the playground. My phone sat face down on the granite, but I'd already checked it 3 times. Richard had sent an email confirming Monday afternoon for the final review before filing. Everything was in motion. Melissa appeared 20 minutes later in yoga pants and one of my old college shirts, hair pulled into a messy bun. She looked beautiful and relaxed, like someone who'd had a peaceful night's sleep instead of someone who'd spent 3 hours at her lover's place 2 days ago. Smells good, she said, pouring coffee. She kissed my cheek as she passed, a casual gesture that made my skin crawl. What's the plan for today? I thought we could take Emma to the Children's Museum, I said, flipping a pancake. She's been asking about the dinosaur exhibit. That sounds perfect, Melissa smiled at Emma. Want to see dinosaurs, baby? Emma's enthusiastic response filled the kitchen, and I focused on the griddle. This was the performance now. The devoted family man, the attentive father, the husband who had no idea his marriage was already over. Every interaction documented in my mental ledger for the custody battle ahead. We spent the day at the museum and I took pictures, lots of them. Emma pointing at a T-Rex skeleton. Emma and me building structures in the engineering play area. Melissa on her phone twice, both times stepping away with a smile that suggested Tyler was on the other end. I documented the timestamps. Sunday was yard work and grocery shopping, normal domestic routines that felt surreal given what I knew. Melissa left for an hour in the afternoon, claiming she needed to pick up a gift for her coworker's baby shower next week. I used the time to call my brother. Hey, can you do me a favor? I asked Jake, watching Emma play in the backyard through the kitchen window. Sure, what's up? If Melissa asks, we're playing basketball Thursday nights now. Started a couple weeks ago. Silence on the other end. Then, David, what's going on? I'll explain later. I just need you to back me up if she asks. Can you do that? Yeah, of course, but man, you're worrying me. I'm fine. I'll call you next week. I hung up before he could press further. The fewer people who knew the details, the better. Richard had been clear about that. Keep the circle tight until papers were served. Melissa returned with a wrapped gift and a Starbucks cup, kissing my forehead as she passed. Did you miss me? Always, I said, the word tasting like ash. Monday morning arrived with the weight of finality. I got up early, showered, dressed in my best suit. Melissa noticed as she was getting Emma ready for daycare. Big meeting today? She asked. Client presentation, I lied smoothly. Might run late, so I'll probably grab dinner downtown. Okay, I should be home normal time. She adjusted my tie, her fingers gentle against my collar. You look handsome. I met her eyes, wondering if she felt any guilt at all. If somewhere beneath the practiced affection, she recognized the distance growing between us. But her expression showed nothing except casual fondness, the comfortable intimacy of 5 years of marriage. Thanks, I said. Have a good day. I dropped Emma at daycare, holding her extra long during the goodbye hug. Love you, Bug. Love you, Daddy. The drive to Richard's office took 30 minutes through morning traffic. His receptionist recognized me now, offering coffee without asking. I accepted, needing something to do with my hands. Richard appeared at 2:15, file folder in hand. David, come on back. His office overlooked downtown Dallas, glass and steel stretching toward a cloudless sky. He gestured to the chair across from his desk, then laid out the paperwork. I've prepared everything based on the evidence you provided, he said. Petition for divorce citing adultery, which Texas recognizes as fault-based grounds. We're requesting primary custody of Emma with supervised visitation for Melissa initially, citing her prolonged absences and your role as primary caregiver. Division of assets will follow community property guidelines, but the adultery gives us leverage. I stared at the papers. My name. Melissa's name. The legal dissolution of 7 years together reduced to formatted paragraphs and numbered clauses. The documentation you gathered is solid, Richard continued. Time-stamped photos, message screenshots with metadata intact. The tracking data from Thursday night. Her attorney will have a difficult time disputing the affair. When do we file? I can have a process server deliver the papers to her workplace tomorrow afternoon. It's direct, public, and ensures she can't claim she wasn't properly notified. He paused. It's also humiliating, which given the circumstances, seems appropriate. I thought about Melissa at her desk, probably messaging Tyler, being handed divorce papers by a stranger while her coworkers watched. The public exposure of what she'd tried to keep hidden. Do it, I said. Richard nodded. You'll need to sign here, and initial these pages. I worked through the stack methodically, my signature appearing again and again. Each one felt like closing a door, sealing off the future I'd imagined we'd have. The house we'd planned to upgrade into. The siblings Emma wouldn't have. The anniversary trips we'd never take. One more thing, Richard said when I'd finished. You should prepare for her reaction. Some people get angry, some get desperate. She may try to convince you this was a mistake, that she'll end it with Tyler, that you should think of Emma. I am thinking of Emma. My voice came out harder than intended. That's why I'm doing this. Good. Maintain that clarity. Don't let her manipulate the narrative. He collected the signed documents. I'll file these this afternoon. The server will deliver them tomorrow between 2 and 3 p.m. I suggest you not be reachable during that time. I'll be in a project meeting. Phone off. Perfect. After she's served, she'll likely try to contact you. Don't engage beyond confirming you'll communicate through attorneys. Don't argue, don't defend, don't explain. Just redirect to me. I nodded, committing it to memory. The strategic approach, the emotional distance, Everything I'd been practicing for days. Do you have somewhere to stay? Richard asked. She may try to claim you abandoned the marital home. I'm not leaving. I'll sleep in the guest room if necessary, but I'm not giving her ammunition to claim I walked out on Emma. Smart. Document everything. Who cooks meals, who does bedtime, who handles daycare pickup, everything. We shook hands, and I left with copies of the filed paperwork in a manila envelope. In my car, I sat for a long moment, staring at the envelope on the passenger seat. Tomorrow afternoon, this became real. No more pretending, no more gathering evidence. Just the aftermath. My phone buzzed. A text from Melissa. Don't forget we're low on milk. Can you grab some on the way home? I stared at the message, at the casual domesticity of it. The mundane request from a wife to her husband, as if we were still partners in this life we'd built. As if tomorrow wouldn't shatter that illusion completely. Sure, I typed back. Anything else? Maybe that pasta sauce Emma likes? The one with the hidden vegetables? Got it. I set the phone down and started the engine. One more night of pretending. One more family dinner where I played the role of unsuspecting husband. Then tomorrow, the performance ended. The grocery store was busy with after-work shoppers. I grabbed milk, pasta sauce, and a few other items we needed, moving through the aisles on autopilot. At checkout, the cashier made small talk about the weather, and I responded appropriately, the social script running automatically while my mind was elsewhere. Tomorrow. Tomorrow everything changed. I drove home as the sun started its descent, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Beautiful evening for the end of the world. The conference room at Miller & Associates had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking downtown Dallas. I sat in one of the leather chairs, watching the clock on my phone tick toward 2:47 p.m. Richard Stone sat across from me, reviewing a document on his tablet. Process server confirmed delivery 3 minutes ago, he said, without looking up. She signed for the papers at 2:44. I nodded, my throat tight. Somewhere in a building 12 blocks away, Melissa was reading the divorce petition. Reading about adultery as grounds. Reading my request for primary custody of Emma. My phone buzzed. Then again. Then it started ringing. Melissa's name flashed on the screen. Don't answer, Richard said. Not yet. Let her process this without giving her ammunition. The ringing stopped. 3 seconds later, it started again. She's going to keep calling, I said. Then turn it off. You're not obligated to be available to her right now. I powered down the phone and set it on the table. The silence felt heavy. What happens next? I asked. Richard closed his tablet. She has 30 days to respond to the petition. Given the evidence you've provided, her attorney will likely advise her to negotiate rather than contest. The adultery is documented. The custody case is strong. You're the primary caregiver, you have a stable work schedule, and you've documented her absences and deceptions. Will she try to fight it? People do irrational things when served with divorce papers at work. Richard's expression remained neutral. But fighting would be expensive and futile. Her attorney will explain that. I picked up my phone, then set it down again. I need to pick up Emma from daycare at 5:30. Where is your daughter now? Little Learners on Mockingbird. Same place she's been for 18 months. Richard made a note. Document the pickup. Sign the sheet. Get a timestamp. Maintain your routine exactly as you have been. The court will notice consistency. And Melissa. She'll likely come home tonight. She'll want to talk. She'll want to explain or negotiate or... He paused. She'll want something. You need to decide what you're willing to discuss and what goes through attorneys only. I thought about the chat logs, about Thursday night at Tyler's townhouse, about Melissa texting me that her presentation went well while I sat in my car watching his front door. I don't want to talk to her, I said. Then don't. You're not required to have a conversation. If she becomes aggressive or won't leave, you call the police and document it. If she tries to take Emma, you call me immediately." The weight of it settled over me. This was real now. The papers were served. The marriage was over and everything but the legal processing. Richard stood, extending his hand. "You did the hard part already. Everything from here is procedure. Stay consistent, stay documented, and don't engage emotionally." I shook his hand and left the office. The drive to my house took 20 minutes. I kept checking the rearview mirror, half expecting to see Melissa's silver Accord behind me. The streets were clear. I pulled into the garage at 3:15 and sat in the truck for a moment, staring at the door that led into the kitchen. Our kitchen. The kitchen where Melissa had kissed me goodbye Thursday morning before driving to Tyler's townhouse instead of to work. Inside, the house felt different. The air seemed thinner, like the walls knew something had changed. I went upstairs to Emma's room and started packing a bag. Clothes for 3 days. Her favorite stuffed elephant. The purple blanket she'd had since she was 6 months old. I didn't know if we'd need to leave, but I wanted options. My powered-down phone sat in my pocket like a stone. At 4:45, I turned it back on. 17 missed calls from Melissa. 9 voicemails. 14 text messages. I didn't listen to the voicemails. The texts were enough. "What the hell, David? You had me served at work. Everyone saw. Call me right now. We need to talk about this. You can't just take Emma. I'm her mother. Call me. Call me. I'm coming home. We're going to talk about this like adults. Tyler said you followed me. You've been spying on me. This is insane. I'm leaving work now. We're going to fix this." The last message was sent at 4:38 p.m., 7 minutes ago. I looked at Emma's packed bag on her bed, then at my watch. I had 45 minutes before daycare pickup. Melissa's office was 20 minutes away in good traffic. She could be here in 30 minutes, maybe less. I called Richard Stone. "She's on her way to the house," I said when he answered. "She sent a text saying we're going to fix this." "Are you there now?" "Yes, I'm picking up Emma at 5:30. Leave now. Pick up your daughter early, then go somewhere public. A restaurant, a park, somewhere with witnesses. Do not be alone with Melissa until she's had time to consult with an attorney and calm down. She's going to say I'm keeping Emma from her. You're maintaining your normal routine of picking up your daughter from daycare. Where you go afterward is your parental discretion. If she wants to see Emma, she can arrange it through proper channels." I grabbed Emma's bag and headed downstairs. In the kitchen, I wrote a note on the pad by the refrigerator. "Picked up Emma early. She's safe. Communication through attorneys only." I left it on the counter and walked out. Little Learners was a small facility in a converted house, painted cheerful yellow with a playground in back. I signed Emma out at 5:02 p.m., 48 minutes early. "Everything okay?" asked Jennifer, one of the teachers. "You're usually right at 5:30. "Everything's fine. Just had a lighter day at work." Emma ran to me, her backpack bouncing. "Daddy, we made butterflies." "That's great, sweetie. Want to go get ice cream?" Her eyes went wide. "Before dinner? Special treat today." I buckled her into her car seat, put her bag in the back, and pulled out of the parking lot. In the rearview mirror, Emma was already chattering about the butterflies, about how hers had purple wings and glitter. My phone rang. Melissa. I sent it to voicemail and kept driving. We went to a chain restaurant off the highway, the kind with bright lights and families and noise. I ordered Emma chicken fingers and ice cream. She colored on the paper menu with crayons while I sat with my back to the wall, watching the entrance. At 6:15, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Mr. Patterson, this is Linda Vance. I've been retained by your wife to represent her in your divorce proceedings. I'd like to arrange a time to discuss custody arrangements for your daughter." Please call my office at your earliest convenience. Professional. Calm. Exactly what Richard said would happen. I forwarded the message to Richard and set the phone down. Emma looked up from her coloring. Where's Mommy? Mommy's at work, sweetie. Is she coming home? I looked at my daughter, 3 years old, purple crayon in her hand, ice cream on her chin. She didn't know anything had changed. To her, this was just a fun Tuesday with early pickup and ice cream before dinner. We'll see, I said. Finish your picture. That butterfly looks beautiful. She went back to coloring, satisfied. My phone buzzed again. Richard Stone. Forward all communication from her attorney to me. Do not respond directly. Where are you now? I texted back. Restaurant off Highway 75. Public place, like you said. Good. Stay there until at least 7. Then consider staying with family tonight. Your brother? I thought about Jake's apartment, about the guest room where I'd crashed after late basketball games, about explaining this to him. Maybe, I texted back. Emma finished her ice cream and her picture. We sat in the booth while families came and went around us, while the sun set outside the windows, while my phone stayed silent in my pocket. At 7:20, I paid the check and carried Emma to the truck. She fell asleep before we hit the highway, her head tilted against the car seat, the butterfly picture clutched in her hand. I drove past our exit, past our neighborhood. I kept going north until I reached Jake's apartment complex and parked in the visitor lot. Emma stirred when I unbuckled her. Where are we? Uncle Jake's house. We're having a sleepover. Really? She perked up immediately. Can we have pancakes? We'll see in the morning. I grabbed her bag from the back and carried her to Jake's door. He answered on the second knock, basketball shorts and a confused expression. Hey man, I thought we were playing Thursday. He stopped, taking in Emma in my arms, the overnight bag. What's going on? Can we come in? He stepped aside without another word. The apartment door swung open before I could knock twice. Jake stood there in gym shorts and a faded Mavericks jersey, beer in hand, confusion already creeping across his face as he took in Emma, perched on my hip with her backpack and stuffed rabbit. Dave? What's... He stopped mid-sentence, eyes moving from Emma to the duffel bag hanging from my shoulder to whatever expression I was wearing. Come in. Come inside. Emma squirmed down as soon as we crossed the threshold, immediately gravitating toward the bin of toys Jake kept for her visits. I set the bags down and felt my phone buzz again. 7th time since we'd left the restaurant. You want to tell me what's going on? Jake closed the door, keeping his voice low. Because you look like hell, and you're showing up at 7:30 on a Tuesday with luggage. I pulled out my phone. 3 more texts from Melissa, each one angrier than the last. You can't just take Emma without telling me. This is kidnapping, David. I'm calling the police if you don't bring her home right now. I turned the screen toward Jake. He read them, his jaw tightening. Melissa's been having an affair, I said quietly. 4 months. With a guy from her work. I found out last week. Had her served with divorce papers this afternoon at the office. Jake's hand stopped halfway to his mouth with the beer. Jesus Christ. I've got evidence. Lots of it. Photos, messages, timestamps. My attorney says I've got a solid case for primary custody. I glanced at Emma, who was making her stuffed rabbit hop across Jake's coffee table. I just needed to not be there when she got home. Needed somewhere safe for Emma to be while Melissa processes this. Of course. Yeah. Stay as long as you need. Jake set his beer down, running both hands through his hair. 4 months? And you've known for a week? Found the messages on her laptop Tuesday before last. Followed her that Thursday when she said she had a late presentation. She went straight to his place. Stayed 3 hours. The words came out flat, mechanical. I'd told this story to Richard Stone. Now I was telling it to Jake. Eventually, I'd have to tell it to my parents, to our friends, to everyone who'd watched us build a life together. My phone buzzed again. I glanced down. Fine. Keep her tonight. But we will talk about this. You're making a huge mistake. Then another message, this one different in tone. Please, can we just talk? I can explain everything. She wants to talk, I said. Jake snorted. I bet she does. What are you going to do? Nothing tonight. Let her sit with it. Let her panic a little. I pocketed my phone. Richard, my attorney, says not to engage beyond what's necessary about Emma's immediate welfare. Everything else goes through lawyers now. Smart. Jake moved to the kitchen, pulled another beer from the fridge, and slid it across the counter to me. You eaten? Either of you? We had dinner at Romano's. Emma had chicken fingers. I twisted the cap off the beer but didn't drink. I should probably put her to bed soon. She's had a long day. Guest room's all yours. Clean sheets on the bed. Jake leaned against the counter, studying me. You're really doing this. Divorce, custody fight, everything. She made the choice when she started sleeping with him. I took a long pull from the beer. I'm just dealing with the consequences. Emma appeared at my elbow, tugging on my sleeve. Daddy, can we read stories? Sure, sweetheart. Let's get you ready for bed first. I lifted her up, grabbed her backpack, and followed Jake down the hall to the guest room. The room was small but comfortable. Queen bed, dresser, window overlooking the parking lot. I set Emma down and started unpacking her pajamas while she explored, poking at the lamp, testing the mattress with both hands. This is like a sleepover, she announced. That's right, a sleepover at Uncle Jake's. Is Mommy coming? My hands stilled on her backpack zipper. Not tonight, baby. Tonight it's just us. She accepted this without question, the way 3-year-olds do, and let me help her into her pajamas. We brushed her teeth in Jake's bathroom, read 3 picture books on the guest bed, and I tucked her in with her rabbit under one arm. Love you, Daddy. Love you too, Emma. Sweet dreams. I left the door cracked and the hallway light on, then returned to the living room where Jake had turned on the Mavericks game with the volume low. She's down, I said, dropping onto the couch. Good kid. Yeah? I stared at the television without seeing it. She's going to have questions eventually, when Melissa and I aren't living together anymore, when there's a custody schedule. You'll figure it out. You're a good dad, Dave. Anyone can see that. My phone buzzed. I almost ignored it, but some instinct made me look. Not Melissa this time. An unknown number. This is Tyler. We need to talk. What you're doing to Melissa is cruel, and you know it. She made a mistake, but she loves you. Don't destroy your family over this. I read it twice, feeling something cold settle in my chest. What is it? Jake asked. The guy she's been sleeping with. He's texting me now. I showed Jake the message. Are you kidding me? Jake's voice rose, then dropped when he remembered Emma sleeping down the hall. This jackass has the nerve to text you about destroying your family. Apparently. I typed back quickly. Lose this number. Contact me again and I'll add harassment to the evidence file. My attorney will be very interested in these messages. I blocked the number before he could respond. Unbelievable, Jake muttered. The audacity. He probably thinks he's defending her, being noble or something. I set my phone face down on the coffee table. Or she asked him to reach out, try to make me feel guilty. You don't feel guilty, do you? No. The word came out harder than I intended. I feel angry. I feel betrayed. I feel like the last 5 years of my life were built on lies. But I don't feel guilty. Jake nodded slowly. Good. Because you've got nothing to feel guilty about. We sat in silence for a while, the basketball game playing out in front of us. The Mavericks were up by 12. Someone made a three-pointer. The announcers said something enthusiastic. I absorbed none of it. My mind kept circling back to Tyler's message. She loves you. As if love meant anything when measured against months of lies, hotel rooms, deleted messages, all those Thursday nights when she'd kissed Emma goodnight and driven across town to his bed. You can stay here as long as you need, Jake said eventually. I mean it. Week, month, whatever. I've got the space. Thanks. I'm looking at apartments this weekend. Richard recommended a place near Emma's daycare. 2-bedroom, so she'll have her own room when she's with me. When's the next court date? Preliminary hearing is in 3 weeks. Richard's filing for temporary custody orders. Given my documentation of being Emma's primary caregiver and Melissa's extracurricular activities, he thinks we've got a strong case. Jake shook his head. Still can't believe she did this. Melissa. I never would have thought. Neither would I. I cut him off, not wanting to go down that road. Not tonight. But here we are. My phone lit up again. Melissa this time. Tyler told me he texted you. That was wrong. I'm sorry. But please, David, we need to talk face to face. There are things you don't understand. This isn't what you think it is. I showed Jake. What does that even mean? Not what you think it is? You caught her red-handed. She's scrambling, trying anything. I typed back. All communication goes through attorneys. Richard Stone at Stone and Associates. Have your lawyer contact him. Her response came within seconds. I don't have a lawyer. I don't want lawyers. I want my husband. Should have thought of that before. I typed, then deleted it. Engaging was what she wanted. Instead, I wrote, "Get a lawyer, Melissa." I muted her contact and set my phone aside. You're handling this better than I would, Jake said. I'm not handling it, I'm surviving it. I finished my beer, the taste bitter in my mouth. 1 hour at a time, that's all I can do. Down the hall, I heard Emma stir, a small sound quickly settling back into silence. My daughter, asleep in a guest room at her uncle's apartment because her mother had blown our family apart. 1 hour at a time. The apartment I found was in a newer complex, 15 minutes from Emma's daycare. 2 bedrooms, 2nd floor, with a small balcony overlooking a courtyard. I signed the lease 3 weeks after serving Melissa with papers, moved in with furniture from IKEA and Target, and hung Emma's drawings on the refrigerator with alphabet magnets. The preliminary hearing went exactly as Richard predicted. The judge granted me temporary primary custody based on my documented role as Emma's primary caregiver and the evidence of Melissa's prolonged absences. Melissa got supervised visitation every other weekend and Wednesday evenings, pending the final hearing. She showed up to court with Linda Vance, her attorney, looking smaller than I remembered. We didn't speak. Our lawyers did all the talking. The divorce was finalized 4 months later on a Thursday morning in Judge Patricia Brennan's courtroom. Community property split down the middle. I kept the construction firm retirement account. Melissa kept her marketing agency 401k. We sold the house and divided the proceeds. I got primary custody of Emma with a structured visitation schedule for Melissa, alternating weekends, 1 evening per week, alternating holidays. Tyler Brooks didn't last. According to Jake, who heard it from a friend who worked at Melissa's agency, they broke up 6 weeks after the divorce was filed. Turned out the excitement of an affair didn't translate well to actual relationship pressure. I felt nothing when I heard. He was irrelevant now, just a catalyst for something that probably would have collapsed eventually anyway. Emma adjusted better than I feared. Kids are resilient in ways adults forget how to be. She has her room at my place with the purple walls she picked out, and her room at Melissa's new townhouse across town. She doesn't ask why mommy and daddy don't live together anymore. It's just her reality now. Melissa and I are civil at exchanges. We text about Emma's schedule, her doctor's appointments, school events. Sometimes I see glimpses of the woman I married, The way she laughs at something Emma says. The careful way she braids our daughter's hair. Then I remember the messages, the lies, the 3 hours at Tyler's townhouse, and the glimpse fades. My parents took it hard. My mother cried. My father got quiet and angry in that way he does. But they rallied around Emma, showing up for her preschool graduation, taking her for weekend visits, maintaining the stability she needed. I started dating again after a year. Nothing serious, just dinners and movies with women I met through friends or apps. It felt strange at first, like learning a language I'd forgotten. But slowly, the rhythm came back. The possibility of trusting someone again seemed less impossible. Richard Stone sent me a final bill and a handwritten note. You handled this with remarkable composure. I wish you and Emma all the best. I framed it and put it in my office at work, a reminder that I'd navigated the worst period of my life without losing myself in the process. 2 years after the divorce was finalized, I stood in Emma's kindergarten classroom for parent-teacher conferences. Melissa arrived 10 minutes late, apologizing to Mrs. Richardson about traffic. We sat in child-sized chairs while the teacher showed us Emma's progress reports, her reading level, her artwork. She's doing wonderfully, Mrs. Richardson said. Very social, very creative. You should both be proud. Melissa and I exchanged a glance. Brief, polite, the look of two people who'd successfully prioritized their child above their own damage. Afterward, in the parking lot, Melissa stopped me before I reached my truck. David, She paused, searching for words. I know I never really apologized. Not properly. For what I did. For how I did it. I looked at her. This woman I'd once loved enough to build a life with. The anger had faded over 2 years into something more like sorrow for what we'd lost, and relief for what we'd both escaped. We're good, Melissa. We're co-parenting Emma. That's what matters now. I know. But I wanted you to know that I'm sorry. Truly. You deserved better. Yeah, I said. I did. But it worked out how it needed to. She nodded, eyes bright with tears she didn't let fall. You're a good father. So are you. A good mother, I mean. I unlocked my truck. I'll have Emma ready Sunday at 6 for the exchange. Sunday at 6. Thanks. I drove away watching her in my rearview mirror, standing alone in the parking lot. Part of me would always wonder what might have been different if she'd made other choices, if I'd noticed the signs earlier, if we'd fought harder for what we had. But mostly, I thought about Emma in her booster seat at home with my mother, probably covered in cookie dough and giggles. I thought about the life I was building now, honest, stable, mine. The betrayal had nearly destroyed me. The divorce had tested every assumption I'd held about love and commitment and family. But on the other side of it, I discovered something crucial. I was stronger than I'd known, capable of protecting what mattered most, able to survive the unraveling and build something new from the pieces. Marriage, I learned, isn't just about love. It's about integrity, honesty, and choosing your partner every single day. When someone stops choosing you, when the foundation cracks beyond repair, the kindest thing you can do for yourself, for your children, for everyone involved, is to walk away with your dignity intact. I didn't get the family I'd planned, but I got truth. I got primary custody of my daughter. I got the chance to model for Emma what it looks like to handle betrayal with strength instead of bitterness, to prioritize her stability over my anger, to rebuild after everything falls apart. Some days were still hard. Some nights I lay awake wondering if I'd missed signs, if I could have prevented it, if I'd ever fully trust anyone again. But those nights grew fewer and farther between, and every morning, Emma climbed into my bed at 6:30, her hair a mess and her smile bright, asking about pancakes or the playground or whether today was a mommy day or a daddy day. In those moments, I knew I'd made the right choice. The screenshot that changed everything had destroyed my marriage. But it had also freed me to build something better, a life based on truth instead of comfortable lies, on strength instead of willful blindness, on the fierce love of a father who'd fight like hell to protect his daughter from ever learning that sometimes the people we love most are capable of hurting us the deepest. I couldn't control what Melissa had done, but I could control how I responded, how I moved forward, how I taught Emma through my actions what it meant to face hard truths with courage. That was enough. It had to be.